everyone, so today's video is going to be my June wrap-up. I had quite a good reading month in June. I managed to read 22 books. I don't know exactly how many of them were mangas, but I did end up reading quite a few physical books, which I'm very proud of that. I'm also just gonna say now already at the start of this video, if I seem like less animated than usual or just less energetic than usual, it's because my mental health is currently really bad and I'm forcing myself to film this video basically. And yeah, I'm not having a good time, but I'm still gonna try and film this video as best as I can without making it too boring. So yeah, I hope that you will still enjoy this video, even if I am acting a little bit different in this video. So yeah, let's just get into the books that I read in the month of June. Like I already said, the month of June was a very good reading month for me. I can already tell that the month of July is not going to be a good reading month because it's already like the 6th of July, I think, and I haven't read a single book. I don't think I've even read a single page of a book. So yeah, it's going great. But the first book that I managed to finish in June was 1,000 Perfect Notes. I really like this book. It is definitely like a book that you have to read when you're in a healthy like mental health mindset. Like I don't think I would have read it in July, but I did manage to read it in June and I was fine with reading it. So yeah, I did really enjoy it. In my Goodreads review of this book, I go a lot more in detail about what I thought about this book. So if you want to know more of my like in-depth thoughts, just check out that Goodreads review. But yeah, I really liked it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And this book has kind of like an open ending. And usually I don't like open endings, but with this one, I actually didn't mind it. So yeah, check out the Goodreads review if you want to know more of my like in-depth thoughts about it. Then the next book that I read in June was the first book on my autistic readathon TBR that I decided to read. It is the audiobook for Odd Girl Out. I kind of liked it, I think. I can't really remember a lot from the book, honestly, but I thought it was kind of informational. I thought it was kind of interesting to see what life is like for an autistic woman who's also a mother, because as someone who is autistic and doesn't want to be a mother, like I can't even imagine what that would be like. So I thought that perspective was very interesting. But other than that, I don't really remember a lot from this book, but I am glad that I read it because like I already said, I wanted to see that kind of perspective. Then I decided to start reading a very popular comic book series. I think that's what you call it, and that is Fence. I read until volume 4. I quite enjoyed this series. I think I'm going to continue it with reading it online, that is. I don't think I'm going to buy them physically just because they are quite expensive and they're very short. And I don't know if I like the story enough to spend that kind of money on something like that. But yeah, if I do end up really liking it as the story progresses, I will think about buying the books physically. I do really like the art, as you can probably tell from like the covers of these books. The art is very pretty. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where this series is gonna go and whether I will like it or not. Then next I read Check Please. I read the first book, and I think because I heard so many good things about this series and because it is quite popular, I think I expected more. And I kind of overhyped it for myself. Like I did like it, but I don't know, it was a bit underwhelming. I feel like the romance happened very fast, and I feel like I was reading it and I felt like I was missing something. I feel like I missed the moment where they like both started liking each other, but not saying it. I feel like I missed that, which I don't know, maybe I like read it wrong or I like read it at the wrong time. And maybe I should give it like another try in the future when like more of the series has like come out. But yeah, I was a bit underwhelmed, and let's just get into the next book. Then next I read My Son is Probably Gay volumes 1 and 2. I really liked this. I thought it was really cute and adorable. Like, I would honestly die for the main character. Like, he deserves so much, and I hope that his crush on the guy that he likes, I hope it works out, and I hope they end up together. But yeah, we haven't gotten to that point yet where we see what the like love interest of him like thinks about him. But I really hope the love interest likes him as well. But yeah, this is just a very like quite a cute manga. It is a bit repetitive at times, but honestly I didn't mind it too much. Then next I decided to read Two Boys Kissing. Now I completely underestimated this book. I think I didn't do like enough research about what this book was about, and I honestly kind of liked that, especially with how surprised I was at how emotional this book was. In my June TBR, I described this book as like a very cute book about like a contest about two boys kissing. And it was about that, but it was also very emotional because it deals with a lot more than that, especially because of the fact that the narrators, the people who narrate the entire book, are people who have died of AIDS, mainly gay men. And, you know, seeing them talk about these young people like experiencing love for the first time or experiencing other things for the first time, like it really hits you very hard, especially because I mentioned in my May wrap-up that I read How to Survive a Plague, which is basically just a very informational book about AIDS and how everyone was affected by it and how it was handled by the media and how badly it was handled. And because I read that book in May, I feel like this book hit me even harder than it would have if I hadn't read it. But yeah, this book is very like emotional. I cried multiple times reading it. I loved it a lot still, despite crying so many times. It had a bunch of like good quotes, as you can see from how many tabs there are in this book. Yeah, I really liked this book. I would recommend it, but I wouldn't recommend it as like a very short, fluffy like book with like gay characters. Like I wouldn't recommend it like that. I would recommend it more as like a very like emotional book, because this is like quite cute at times, but it's mainly very emotional because again it's all from the perspective of, you know, these gay men that died. So they're basically like talking about things that they'll never get to experience again while watching, you know, young people experience them while they can't anymore, or they never got to experience them. Then next I read Sorted. I listened to this on audiobook. I already mentioned this in my June TBR, I think, that I knew about the author of this book from YouTube. I didn't watch his videos really, but I knew about him. And yeah, I quite enjoyed this. I really liked how honest he was with himself in this book. I appreciated that a lot. And I definitely cried a couple of times listening to this audiobook. One thing that I didn't really like was how it was fully based on like a Harry Potter stuff, because Sorta is like a reference to like a Harry Potter thing. And I personally don't really like Harry Potter, but again, that's something personal. Like other than that, like other than the fact that there were a bit too many Harry Potter references for my taste, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like it was quite a good memoir. So yeah, if you want to read like a transgender memoir, I highly recommend this one. Then next I read Please Don't Toy With Me, Nagatoro, volumes 4 through 6. I'm pretty sure I mispronounced the name of that, but I'm just gonna continue. Yeah, I already mentioned this in a couple of previous wrap-ups. I am reading these volumes as the anime comes out. As I'm filming this, the anime is actually finished. There will be a second season, hopefully, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I really enjoyed the anime, just like I enjoyed the manga. I have already mentioned this before. This is not really a manga or an anime that is targeted towards me. I feel like it's targeted towards a very specific audience, and I don't fit into that audience, but I still really enjoyed it. It's not like everybody's taste, so I don't really recommend it because I know some people are really not gonna like it. But yeah, I really enjoyed reading them and I will continue reading it as it comes out. So yeah. Then next I reread Queens of Geek. I read this a couple of years ago and I already explained this in my June TBR. This was also on my Autistic Readathon TBR. I read this a couple years ago and this book basically made me like realize that I should probably like seek a diagnosis for autism because there's an autistic character in this book. She's one of the main characters actually. And I reread this book in the month of June and I still really liked it. I still love the characters a lot. I appreciate how much diversity there is in this book. And yeah, I don't know, like this book just feels very, I don't know, like magical. Even though it doesn't have anything to do with magic, it still feels like that. Yeah, I just appreciate this book a lot. I still do. I tapped this book even more by putting like more sticky notes in it. And now there's like 2 different like feels of sticky notes, which is really strange, but I'm just gonna ignore it. But yeah, I'm glad that I decided to reread this book. This book definitely made me want to reread a lot more of my old favorites. Then next I decided to listen to the audiobooks for George and Rick. George is a book that I read a couple of years ago. I actually own a physical copy of it, but I am in too much pain and too depressed to get it. So yeah, I read this a couple years ago. I never read Rick, and I also don't own it physically, but now I kind of want a physical copy. But yeah, Rick is basically a sequel to the book George, and I really liked both of the books. I don't know honestly which book I liked more, because I feel like the book Rick had a lot of diversity. And I really appreciated how it had an asexual character. I feel like I don't really read that a lot, especially in like middle grade books, because these books are middle grade. So I really appreciated that. But rereading George was just really nostalgic for me. So yeah, I really enjoyed reading listening to both of these books. And yeah, I will someday definitely get a physical copy of Rick. So yeah, hopefully I will find one. Then the next book that I read in the month of June, I was actually quite like disappointed by. Not because I absolutely hated it, but just because of the way that it made me feel about myself. And I think that's kind of what started my like bad mental health period that I'm currently in. Like my mental health is almost always bad, but now it's even worse than it usually is. And I'm not gonna say it's fully because of this book, it's not, but I feel like that kind of like started it in a way. So yeah, and that book is The Kiss Quotient. Now I mentioned in my June TBR that I was really excited for this book, and in a way it did live up to my expectations. I was really liking it up until like the last, I would say like 100 pages of the book. There was a very specific moment in those like last 100 pages where I talked about this on like my social media. It made me feel like really invalidated. Basically, there was a comment from the main character who is autistic, where basically she talks about wanting to be able to do a lot of things that she doesn't like doing or can't do because she's autistic. And somewhere in that like monologue that she does in her head, she mentions that she doesn't want to be a disabled autistic girl or something like that. I think that was the phrasing. So I actually like looked up the phrase because I didn't want to say anything wrong. But basically the phrases are, she wasn't a robot or a disabled autistic girl. She was herself. She was enough. She could be anything. Now, I get that that doesn't sound like too bad, especially like the sentences afterwards. Like I get what the author is like trying to say, but saying the words, she wasn't a robot, she wasn't a disabled autistic girl, to me, like it felt like she was implying that because I'm a disabled autistic girl, that therefore I am a robot. I don't know, like just with that phrasing, she wasn't a robot or a disabled autistic girl, like it implies that like the word disabled is a bad word, but it's not. And I feel like comparing being called a robot to being called disabled autistic girl, implying that that's kind of the same, just feels wrong to me. And again, this might just be my opinion. Like I said, I did quite enjoy the book, but when this sentence, like when I read this, it just made me feel bad about myself because I feel like it was implying that because I'm a disabled autistic girl, therefore I'm not enough, you know, because she was implying that she wasn't one and that she was, you know, enough. But I am one, so am I not enough then? And I feel like, again, these are very like personal thoughts about literally like one sentence in the book. You know, I didn't hate it. I don't hate the author or anything. It just, I don't know, it made me feel bad. And I feel like I have to express that because I don't have anyone else to say that to. So I'm just saying it here. So yeah, don't think that I'm sitting here saying that the book is bad. It's not. That sentence just made me feel invalidated for some reason. So yeah, then let's move on from that whole rant and let's get into the next book that I read, which is by the same author as 8,000 Perfect Notes, the first book that I mentioned in this wrap-up video, and that is The Boy Who Steals Houses. Now, a lot of people like this book more than 1,000 Perfect Notes. I was expecting to like it more as well, especially because there's autistic characters. And yes, I said characters because I'm 100% convinced that the main character is autistic as well, just like his brother. But yeah, I was expecting to like this book more. I didn't, which is strange. Not really because of any reasoning. I don't know, I just liked 1,000 Perfect Notes more. I don't really know why I didn't like it as much as 1,000 Perfect Notes. I really wanted to, but I think it's especially because of the ending. Like I already said, 1,000 Perfect Notes had an open ending, and I quite liked it. This also had an open ending, but I didn't like it. I feel like I needed to know what happened, you know? Like I needed to know what happens afterwards. I need to know if they're okay. I don't know, I feel like with 1,000 Perfect Notes, I knew that the main character and everyone else would be okay. With these characters, I don't know if they're gonna be okay, and I don't like that. So yeah, I will definitely read more from this author though, because I really enjoyed both of these books. If they release a new book, I will definitely buy it and read it. Then next I read arguably my favorite book that I read in the month of June, and that is Felix Ever After. Now I mentioned in a couple of my videos already, I don't think one of them is out yet actually, but I put this book in a 5-star prediction video. I don't think I've posted it yet. I'm pretty sure I haven't actually, but yeah, I really hope that I would like this book, especially because I think it's so pretty with the sprayed edges as well. And because of that, I really hoped that I would like it. And I really did. I really loved it. I loved the characters. I would die for Felix. I love them a lot. I appreciate the representation in this book. I can't wait for more books by this author. And yeah, I just really loved it. I don't know what else to say about it other than I really liked it, honestly. But yeah, I really loved it. I highly recommend it. If you see it in a store and you want to buy it just because it looks pretty, definitely buy it because it's also very pretty and beautiful on the inside. And with that I mean obviously the story. So yeah, I really liked it. I don't know what else to say about it. Then next I read the Falling in Love montage. I listened to this on audiobook. I quite liked this book. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would like it. I wanted to buy like a physical copy of it, but now I don't think I want to, just because, I don't know, I don't think I need it. I liked it, but I didn't like it enough to spend money on it, you know? But I did really appreciate the representation in this book. I appreciated the fact that they talked about a lot of things that matter, like for example mentioning that lesbian characters in like movies or TV shows almost always get like killed off. I really appreciate that they talked about that. What I did not appreciate is the ending. I feel like, I don't know, like I get why the ending is a thing, like I get it, I honestly get it, but I don't like endings like that are like kind of open endings but also sad endings at the same time. I don't like it. But yeah, I did quite like it still. Like I said, I do understand why the ending is the way it is, but it still made me sad. So yeah. Then lastly, I listened to the audiobook of Me, My Dad, and the End of the Rainbow. I really enjoyed this book. It was so cute and adorable and had a lot of representation, and I appreciated it a lot. I feel like this book is like a good book because again, it's a middle grade like George and Rick. I feel like this book is very important for like young kids to read because it talks about a lot of things in a very like easy way kind of, and I really appreciated that. I really liked it. It did make me very anxious because of some of the things that happened in the book. Because at a certain point, like one of the children who is like one of the like side characters, who is like one of the like friends of the main character, they like get lost. And that made me very anxious, and I don't like being anxious while I read. But luckily that gets resolved, and I knew it would get resolved because it's a children's book. Like they're not gonna like murder a kid in a children's book. That would be really weird, especially with the concept of the book being like a kid dealing with the fact that his dad came out as gay. Yeah, I really liked the book. I liked the concept of it. I will probably see if I can buy a physical copy of it, but it is quite difficult to find here. So those were all of the books that I read in the month of June. Like I already said, and as you probably saw, I had a very good reading month. That is not going to be the case for July, like I already mentioned in the beginning of this video. I'm not going to have a good reading month, but I'm still going to try to read some books. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't sound like too, depressed. I hope it didn't really show in my voice or anything like that. I did my best to like hide it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. And I hope you get some like book recommendations from this video. I think this is where I'm gonna end the video because I don't really know what else to say and I kind of want to stop filming now. So yeah, bye.